In Grenada, the COVID-19 control bill sparked controversy and public protest. In St. Lucia, there has been concern about what is viewed as the great level of latitude which was given to the government. Journalist Janika Simon says, for example, the COVID-19 regulations gave the Chastenay government the right to commandeer property and to issue tenders at will without following the normal procedures.
To give tenders, without needing to go through the competitive bidding process. And when the SOE was initially passed, this was, a couple of months ago, people were nervous. People were not sure what the pandemic would bring to our shores. And that initial SOE was in effect for a period of a few weeks. I think it was about 4 to 6 weeks. Before it expired, the government came back and said, listen, we want to extend that until September. Now, at that time, we were already kind of in a situation where we didn't see any massive caseload. There was no community spread. There was no overwhelm of our public health systems. So people really started to question the need for this state of emergency.
In the initial phases of its COVID-19 response, the Keith Mitchell government in Grenada revised the hours of curfew and related regulations on a weekly basis. In late July and into August, it announced plans to introduce the COVID-19 control bill, which would remain in place for a year. In St. Lucia, people are also concerned about moves by the government to implement measures over an extended period, considering that the Governor-General can easily declare a state of emergency and seek an extension as necessary.
So the argument there was, in the absence of any compelling reason to have that SOE for public health protection, why not let it naturally expire? And then if needs be, the Governor General could always just declare a new one. And, the government's argument in terms of retaining and extending that SOE was because, they thought that they needed to maintain readiness for a potential spike or a noticeable spike. So it is, I think it's fair to call it controversial.
For now, St. Lucians continue in wait-and-see mode.
By now, the population is kind of resigned to just, waiting it out and hoping that Parliament will not come back before September 30th to extend it. Because, just like in all of our sister territories, our parliamentary democracy is such that the government of the day holds a majority in the Parliament, and so they can pass legislation without needing the help of anybody else. So people were, just a little bit concerned about the sweeping powers that are granted to the central government. And, we've seen road tenders go out. We've seen huge sums of money be awarded in terms of contract without any public tendering. This was already an issue for St. Lucia, and it seems to have accelerated using the SOE and using the exigencies of the global pandemic to, facilitate that.
In Grenada, the government says it's continuing discussions on the COVID-19 control bill. It recently issued an email address where citizens could forward concerns and suggestions. GBN understands that the Attorney General has also met with lawyers to hear their concerns and to take these back to the powers that be. Joseph McKee-Smith, GBN News.